guys. Welcome to the Owens Anime Convention, the club's presentation here. We have with us today Stan Sagan. He owns Anigames on Main Street and Front.
Yes.
Over in Toledo, Ohio. You've been in operation for 3 years?
5.
5 years. 5 years in the Toledo area. So you should definitely come down and visit his store at some point. Stan has actually been vending with us. He's been coming to Owens for the last couple of years when we have things like Spring Fling, and he's came out, vended, provided students an opportunity to purchase anime goods while at school, so it gives them kind of a little thrill there. And he's been vending with us for our first 2 years at Glass City Con, our official anime convention that's held here at Owens. And in both those years, he's also done a panel called Why Anime. And he's agreed to come out this evening and do the panel for us again. And it's a really interesting panel. People have just been captivated by it. He's very knowledgeable in the subject of anime. He's been into it for years. So I will let him get going in a second. I just want to let everyone know we had, in addition to this event, next week we have the Nerf Dart Tag Royale, where you can shoot each other with Nerf guns. Information is on the back table there. That's our next planned event and the last one for the semester, and we will have more next month. So without further ado, Stan Sagan.
Thank you. I've had so many people over the past say anime is this or anime is that, and as they say, pigeonhole what you have to say into a sound bite of either this, or this, some of it good, whether it's Pokemon or adult material or other things, but it's actually much more than that, much broader, and for that I decided to put everything down in as a presentation to try to be as definitive as I possibly can and yet still be entertaining and hopefully broaden a few perspectives. And I would like to start out with what is anime, and there are 3 basic elements that anime is a business, it is a pop culture, and it is a film art. And it's the same element, but there are different, like a prism, there are different ways of looking at it, and it shines differently depending on the angle that you're looking at it. So, but as a business, we have anime because people have been able to make their living off of it. You had started off with independent filmmakers and short films. Most of the early animes you will see are maybe 30 minutes long, and then all of a sudden they became 2 or 3 episodes, and somebody said, oh, by the way, this is really nice, let's have a TV series for it. But that goes, in America here, that goes way back to the 60s with Astro Boy. 70s you had Robotech, you had G-Force, and afterwards in Japan, more than here, you had things like the Lum series, you had Ranma 1/2, 2 of Takahashi's very first series, and then you had some very strong shows like Bubblegum Crisis, which is a show about girls in hard suits who are basically vigilantes trying to beat back a corporation that has a side effect of turning people into homicidal maniacs. So again, it's a continuing story. That's one of the main things about anime, is the fact that it is a continuing story. But as far as the business goes, it's here because people like what they do, they like the storytelling, and they decided to find a way to feed their families and expand on it. And so further and further along, it became even more corporatized. You had the huge boom in the early 90s in America here that took off with Cartoon Network doing Sailor Moon, Dragon Ball Z, Outlaw Star, Nadia, Spirit of Blue Water, and those were actually stronger than some of the Knights of the Zodiac and some of the other anime films that came along that we were used to on Saturday mornings. And then you had even a stronger series, especially through Cartoon Network for a while, with their Adult Swim, which had a more, again, series with a stronger filmmaker's art, such as Cowboy Bebop, Outlaw Star, FLCL, which was a very filmmaker's avant-garde comedy. So it evolved, but it became part of our pop culture, and with over 150 anime cons alone across the country, as well as anime elements in sci-fi cons, anime presentations in game conventions. So it has become and worked its way into a good part of our pop culture of today, which I will also talk a little bit more about. Anime as a business is, I think of it as the best of the studio system, along with the best of the independent filmmaker's art. There is regulations in Japan that do give an independent creativity to a filmmaker, which has spawned Akira, again, some of the earlier Japanese anime DVDs or things that are now on DVD, but they started with very strong stories. Let's see. Galaxy Express 999 is one that has a very sensitive story, and I suggest looking into it. But these become independent films, and they actually could be viewed as that, and yet for a filmmaker to do his stuff, a lot of times he has to start as an starving artist and just doing cells. Then they're doing the line art. Then they're doing the special panels that everybody else tries to do the in-between work on. And after a while, they're given the opportunity to actually do a production or a show or an episode independently. So it becomes a studio process where after every single stage, somebody's there to learn their craft from the bottom up, so that when they do a show, they know what to expect from each area. They have to know what to expect on the backgrounds, how to make things fluent. And for many of these people, it takes many, many, many years. And fortunately, we started off with some people who had exceedingly good talent. One of the things that makes what we consider anime different is the fact that it has a much stronger story to the TV series. When I mean by story, I mean the fact that every episode becomes a chapter. And you can have character development, plot twists, subplots. You have filler episodes that actually become very important when they give you background on a character or show a side aspect of a relationship between two characters, or use it to change the relationship between two different characters. You can do this when you have over 10 hours of video to fill up in a TV series of 26 episodes. Yes, it comes out to about 13 hours, but then you also have to add in all the opening, the closing, and the commercial breaks, so it comes down to about 10 hours. And for that, you can do an excellent job on a book where an hour-and-a-half movie, 90% of the time you say, but the book was better. Well, there are times when given the 10 hours, it actually can build on and actually have you go, wow, and have you go back and want to read a book if you've just seen the series. One of those TV series that came out, I would and it's going to be reissued sometime early next year, is called Record of the Lotus Wars. The TV series is based off the book, but the direct-to-video or OVA series of about 13 episodes was reformatted, and the story changed around so that it became basically about Deedlit and her male compatriot who actually start off not liking each other, but you see a definite development in their relationship in a way that you see them both mature in a very positive way. And again, that's one that I really highly recommend. One of the things also, and this was what really had people go wow with even simple shows or earlier shows such as Astro Boy, Kimba the White Lion, Star Blazers, is for the fact that even though it's 2D animation, it is still all about facial expressions, emotions, and camera angles. Anime is one of the first to really explore the different camera angles of what can be done with a story and still keep it two-dimensional. And I think that's one of the huge aspects that we like. The other are, and what people say, well, gee, what about all these big eyes and the small mouth aspect of things? Well, first of all, not every anime has the big eyes, but many of them that do, it has two aspects to that. One is the fact that it started off as a imitation or a spin-off of taking the early Disney styles of Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, Goofy. All of them had the very large eyes. But what they did with it, in my view, is for the fact that they used those large eyes to do a lot of emotions and expressions of what's going on with the character. If somebody's saying something and you see a squint or you see their eyes pop open in excitement, you have a lot of dynamic action and reaction that you can't have otherwise. And it really does take the animation and film to an extra level. Another little aspect of looking at that is, again, and this was told at a couple of different conventions by a couple of different Japanese directors, says, yeah, but what happens when the guy says this and this happens? I was kind of disappointed. And he says, well, it's like life. You follow what a person does, not what they say. So if a person says one thing but does another, that should tell you more about the character than just listening to what they say. And that's part of, again, the dynamics of the storytelling. Why don't we see some of these elements in domestic animation and TV series? Well, all I know is talking to a couple of industry individuals, a couple of people who do the marketing and directing of not just anime companies, but also major film companies, is the fact that they said that there's actually pressure on them not to make a continuing story out of a TV series or children's show so that everything's followed in sequence. And I think that in pulling back, that leaves people hungry, and I think that when you do have an episodic show and a continuing story, like a book, it feeds the person into and draws them into the character and wants to hiss, boo, or root for a character. Now, I know I had a poster at my store that had Inuyasha and Kikyo, a girl who died and was turned into a demon. But I said, and this girl was very enthusiastic about the poster. Wow, I gotta have this, I gotta have this. You like the character? No, I want to take this poster home, cut it in half, and use Kikyo as a dartboard. That, from an artist's point of view, is a home run. Because it doesn't make somebody automatically happy, it doesn't make them automatically sad, but it gets a reaction from them.